Part 10, Luke 7:19. And right here, we're going to start off with reminding everybody that the followers of John report to him about what Jesus was doing. That was the last verse we cleaned up. But if you notice here, John sent for two of his disciples to ask Jesus, are you his Holy One, his expected? Not the expected, but his Holy One is referring to Jesus as well. So I'm using the Holy One, and that way they would know that this is how our Creator speaks about Jesus being sent. But John sent two of his disciples to ask Jesus, and yet over here they reported to him already. So this verse here is out of order. Oh, when they came to Jesus, they said, John our Baptist, to ask you, are you his Holy One, or do we look for someone else? At that time, Jesus was healing them from their diseases, healing people's diseases. I use the word people and diseases and get rid of that. Actually, I'm going to just stay with this. Them from their diseases, sicknesses, demons, and blindness. And let's see, can you see that? Yeah, you should be able to see that now. He told them to report to John. The blind have their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are not cleansed, they're healed. Jesus would know the difference between healing people and healing people. What is my dead? Yes, it has to be his dead. Those that are going to enter into his kingdom are hearing, the poor are hearing my gospel taught to them. The poor are, I'm going to get rid of this word here. It's just not needed. Oops. The poor, I see I have the word have here. The poor have my gospel taught to them. That means no Aramaic, because Jesus was speaking to the poor, and the poor are not bilingual. And so Jesus never spoke in Aramaic. He always spake in Hebrew. He was sent to his. This does not need to be in the text at all. Who keeps from stumbling over me? That's not really true there. I need to read this message. Okay, families flying in or coming in, so I need to keep track of that today. Spake to the crowd about why, not what did they go to the wilderness, is why did they go to the Jordan River to see John? A reed shaken by the wind? This is just stupid stuff. Jesus wouldn't have said anything like that. What they saw was a male wearing hides, not soft clothing, but hides, and not like those splendidly clothed and live in luxury. And they're saying they're found in royal place as well. The object is that we know that they went to the Jordan River, and John was wearing hides with a rope around his waist. And what they saw was his prophet. Yes, don't need the word yes. And I say he is more than a prophet. Let's see if, okay, here, John, he's going to explain what John is. Now, don't need the word this because we know who it is. John is whom was prophesied, behold, I will send his messenger. He's a heralder, so it has to be Jesus' messenger before him, not your face, but before him. To announce him, he has to herald him, so he has to be before him. And he will prepare your way before him. And this is what he has done as a baptism, a repentance for sin. And I say there is no greater prophet than John. Notice here, Jesus says those born among women. Okay, and they even needed to add the word women this time around to the text. So that's just ridiculous. Among those born women, there is no greater prophet than John. Yet, who is the least in my kingdom from YV is as great as he. Now, what Jesus is really saying is that why is he so great? There is no greater prophet than John. And that is because all other prophets heralded Jesus coming. He's the one that's saying he's here. Okay. Then not all people, but many people, when many people heard this, they acknowledged YV's justice, having been baptized by John. I needed the word justice by them being to be baptized. This was what he was talking about up here. Uh, he will prepare your way before you is the baptism. So they weren't in sin that they could walk with Jesus, okay, be around him in his favorable year of the Lord. But our judges and lawyers, and I use the word judges because we have judges and lawyers, rejected YV's justice, meaning they didn't agree with him baptizing for forgiveness of sin because they didn't believe that John was actually told by our Creator to do that. They themselves not being baptized by John, well, that's because they refused it. Then Jesus taught them, because if he's going from here to here, we need these words added, and I need to make sure that they're gray text right now. What kind of leaders are in this generation, and what are they like? They're sitting places. Yeah, I think you can get all this. This is not much to mention here. Okay, here they came eating no bread and drank no wine. John, we know, has rules that what he was not to eat bread. Um, then, and I'm using it from here. I'm adding it from, I guess it's here, here, or here to here. I should have noted which way I was using it. Yes, I can check that to see which way that was on the text, but when this fires up, I'll get there. He eats bread and drinks wine. As they're talking about Jesus now. This is 7. Well, been a while to get there. I'm looking for bread in 33. Yeah, he's eating no bread. So here it's bread, but it's not here. So I'm taking it from here and putting it here. And they looked at a gluttonous male and a drunkard, apparently to taxmen and sinners. Now here's something that Jesus doesn't believe. All wisdom comes from our Creator. He's got wisdom is vindicated by all her children. So here, Jesus is rejecting our Creator, and we can't have that. So we got to have this gone. But the editors of the text are trying to put in her children, who are her children. Wisdom has been vindicated by her children. Well, that's the female goddess followers have this wisdom that they're being vindicated by having this repeatable experience of meditating and having a sex with the so-called female goddess. It's actually Satan. Yeah, judges. One of our judges asked him to die, so he entered the judge's home, and as they were waiting, a harlot learned he was there. Okay, she came with this bottle is way too expensive, so I got rid of it last time to make a bottle with perfume. Kneeling at his feet, she cried, and then she wet his feet with her tears and wiping them with the scarf. Hair, let's put it this way, I've got long enough hair to know that you can't wipe off anything with your hair. It doesn't absorb it. Everything, it kind of rejects dirt. So to clean his feet, she was weeping and then wiping it with a scarf for her head. And then after kissing his feet, she poured the perfume on them. Now, we had the other story that she came in and poured it on his head. So we have two different stories here. And the judge who had invited him watched this. He thought to himself, if he is a prophet, he would know she is a sinner, meaning an adulteress, okay? A whore, okay? The sort of person, touch it. No, that doesn't mean this. He would know she is a sinner. So Jesus asked him, and all of a sudden he has a name now. I'm thinking that name was there last time. But I'm also trying to figure out why I'm using the word judge here. And I'm going to use the word house here. I guess it should have been large enough that it should have been a house. I'm sorry. When I'm reading this stuff, I'm kind of looking for how big this place is, and we got many people there. And she comes in, and this room can even allow her to be there. So I'm thinking size wise, it's very large, so it's just not. But why as a judge? Because because it's got Pharisees here. I'm using the word judges because that's what it's. Yeah, because it's using the word Pharisees. And I don't need his name if I have a judge here. I have something to ask you. And I'm changing the word, like I said before, all coins into silver. So we just have a perspective of that. We don't need to know it's a denary or whatever. We just call it a silver, and then we give the concept of how much money everything is. Because we have a story of one silver equals a male's wages to work for one day. This is next word doesn't need to be there. Extra word not there. He answered, the one owing more. And Jesus told him, you have judged correctly. So here again, judge, but not so much important. But Simon's name is coming up here, and we just passed it on the last verse there. Yet I entered your house, and you gave me no water to wash my feet. But she wetted my feet with her tears and wiped them with her scarf. There is a verse about harlots wearing a scarf. I know our Creator says He's going to rip the scarves off, and I I think it's talking about also lifting their skirt to shame them as well. So, I would gonna have to look that verse up. But I know it does, but it's there. I think it's in Hosea. Uh, you gave me no kiss. Okay, well, he walked in with Jesus, so that wouldn't have been true there. Then she kissed my feet and poured perfume on them. You did not anoint my head with oil, like there is no custom for them to anoint his head with oil. So the thing here is that's just not true. She anointed my feet. No, she poured perfume on them. She knows who I am. I had to add this text here, so I better make sure that I put that there. Well, I know that I'm adding other words in a lot sometimes, but I think it's important that that this is noted, the reasons why she's doing it. She's accepting him as what she always heard about. She now believes he is him, and she knows she's a very sinful person. So, for this reason, I say to you, her sins have been forgiven. He who forgave little loves little. He who is forgiven little loves little. This is, that's just stupidity. Jesus not using the word forgiven correctly. You can't forgive a little, okay? Um, she knows who I am, and for this reason, I say her sins are forgiven. So I needed these words to make sure that you knew that she understood uh, that she is a sinner and she does recognize him as our Creator's Holy One who's to come, their King in heaven. So now she knows it's all true. When told her sins are forgiven, the judges were there and discussing uh, who is this male? No, who is he to forgive her sins? Then he told the woman, your trust in me. See, she had more than a faith. She knew, so I'm using the word trust again. I've almost replaced, I think, every word faith when it talks about faith in Jesus. Trust in me is the way he's telling them that you have to trust in Jesus, not just have a faith in him, but you have to have a trust. Jesus does these things as he is our King in heaven. Redeemed you, not saved you, but redeemed you. And with this, forgiveness is a redeeming more than it is saved. So you have to have redeemed here. I guess that's all I want to say. Then it's more forgiving is a redeeming of. It's like atonement. You have been redeemed. You have to atone for it, meaning you're sorry. So yes, you've been forgiven. So you've been redeemed to continue living with the other Israelis. If you weren't forgiven by our Creator, you were gone from the kingdom. You were just abandoned, sent out of the kingdom. He went to our cities and villages, not proclaiming, he was declaring, not preaching his gospel he was declaring. We already have proclaiming and preaching, but declaring his gospel of his kingdom from YHVH, and his 12 were with him. So his 12 were with him. There were some women who were healed from demon spirits and sicknesses. It was Magdalene who had 7 demons leave her. Okay, now this here, yeah, I don't see this hooking down. This is going to be the subject here, right here. No, we aren't going to have, this is not going, they're trying to add that women were supporting Jesus. Women didn't have a private means of money back then. It was a male-dominant society. Males were in control of everything. Our creators, the whole setup is that example. When you see our Creator saying, bring the sin offering to me, it's the male who brings the sin offering. It's the male ram that they're to bring to be sacrificed, but the man has to answer for the women, okay? So the thing here is if someone in their family or household or wife is said or sinned, he was the head of the household. He was to redeem him. And then it would have been that the land was passed down to sons. So they didn't have private means to contribute and support out of their private means. So this is just not. Uh, no, this all has special meanings for the female goddess, and this is what I'm trying to remove out of it, or I am removing out of it, out of the text, to show you the true truths of Jesus. Another crowd came. Whoops, I can bring this up a little bit more. Doesn't need to say it from other various cities. And he taught this parable to them. I don't see anything except for correcting foot to feet, soil to land. And land means to them the surface that you see, and the ground is underneath, which you cannot see. Just to know the difference between the two words and the way they use it. We don't need this crop sometimes 100 more. These things he would call out, he who has ears, hear me, and let them hear my words. I added the words, my words hear my words, because the seeds are his words. And I'm not so much sure that this would be needed, but I'm leaving it there. Because if I'm removing this kind of text here, maybe I should have removed all this and not added those words, but it'll leave them there for right now. Then a disciple asked him, what is the parable about? Now here's another verse that I could say that Judas is asking him, like he's not the one to be able to catch on to what parables mean. Okay, so like I said, gotta give Judas this reasoning why he is going to betray Jesus. And I'm trying to put that in the text by showing Jesus embarrasses him. And Jesus isn't trying to embarrass him. Jesus is just correcting him in front of others that he is going to have this build up of being embarrassed by Jesus. Then he told the crowd, you have been granted to know not the mysteries. There's no mysteries about Jesus' kingdom. He was coming, he's here. Mysteries are when I say having sex with a female goddess, meditating, you kind of freak out like, what? Well, that's because they keep it hidden from you. So the thing here is in Revelation, mysterious mother of Babylon. Oh, no. And this is just anyone hear me that they not understand me, not hearing me. This to hear and not to hear is this meaning of not to understand. So don't need the word understand though, hearing me. Changing devil to Satan. Instead of being, I think I once said that if you use it as the devil, that's a title, and the rest are demons. So yes, the devil. Devil would be the title for Satan. So we can put Satan in and say forgiven by me. Even though we have a Savior, he isn't going to say Savior. He is forgiven by me. Jesus knows the rules are that the priest, and he replaced the priest at this time. Don't need the word worries for riches and pleasures. Riches and pleasures choke off his words. Of this life bring no fruit to maturity. This is no. Is that needed? He's already explained what these are. That his words were choked off. This doesn't need to be said. This is just, I went in the 1611 preface, they talk about a fruit to eat every month, okay, as your reward, with the first study in the Bible is to have this fellowship with saints. Well, saints, sit and meditate, and they call this a bubble that's going around their body that happens can happen once a month. This is the fruit that bear fruit with preference. And this life brings no fruit to maturity. It means that those that don't have this practice will not have this fruit maturity. So I'm just saying that I'm getting rid of their crap out of the text. I'm proving that the first writers wrote the text, and that all these things that were added are to make Jesus look stupid. I mean, I've got I think 2 videos below about Jesus being stupid and all the things he said. In fact, we just went up here or back here a little bit in this video talking about Jesus not believing our Creator's words by wisdom is vindicated by her children. So, well, that's just making Jesus stupid. So, and we know that you don't put a leg under our bed, and we use it for those to see by. See, this is anything that's hidden. This is more or less for them. And this is just their words that whoever does not have even what he thinks it will be taken away from him. So that knowing that you can do this practice, it's going to be taken away from you because you're not smart enough to understand their hidden secrets. Example, mythology is all about the sex practice mentioned in a different way. What other one-eyed cyclops is there? I mean, when we look at a male's maleness, we know it has one eye. So I think even the Quran has one-eyed. Allah is one-eyed. So a 13-year-old male would understand more of what I'm talking about than adults that have just not paying attention to the text. Or read Winnie the Pooh. I mean, what kind of a tiger bounces on his tail? A little piglet stands up and blushes when the Tigger is coming near. You read those words and you tell me, okay? Now that you're hearing what I'm saying, you'll read it, and then You'll stop giving your kids all this Winnie the Pooh crap and supporting that bullshit. His parents came to talk to him, but they were unable to pass through the crowd. Okay. Well, I can't remember if we just had that or I've done so many videos that I just done Mark and that happened. Anyways, that is mentioned in another place. The crowd passed. Yeah, the report has to get to them, so I had to add all these words here. And that is quite a bit, so I'm going to do that. That your mother and brothers are standing outside wishing to see you. His mother and his father, I showed you a verse here in Luke or somewhere where when Jesus is in his hometown, the people say, isn't he the carpenter's son? So that means the carpenter's still alive, okay? So Joseph is alive and Joseph is coming with them. That's why I've got back here his parents, okay? And got rid of his brothers. He has no brothers. And I say that because there's no family lineage of their being around, because people would have wrote about and the lineage of Jesus's brothers and families and descendants, because that's what you see on television when they have these made up stories about Jesus's descendants. So that's all fake, but they're using these words in the Bible to build their story up and just make money off you. And they replied to the crowd, "My family are those hearing my words from YV and obeying him, not do them, not do it. A word from YV and do it. It's by obeying him." Now, if there's one word, if there's words that, like I said, that just don't mean anything, double speak, triple speak, that don't even need to be said there, and they're at the very beginning like this. Now, it came about one of those days that, it can be said, Jesus' disciples got into a boat to go to the other side of the lake. Let me see, because this might be the place in the Bible that they actually talk about Lake Kelly as being a lake. Let me see here. Oops, I gotta plug this in as well. This is running low. Let me go to here, and I want 8. 1, 2. Yes, see, they have the word lake. Okay. Now, there is only one lake in Jerusalem or in Israel that speaks or has boats on it. Okay. And that would be for fishermen. There's the Dead Sea, they call it Dead Sea, is actually a salt deposit that water got to and dissolved the water. So it's not a Dead Sea. It's just I call it a salty lake. That way we know where we're talking about. But here, the word lake is being referred to as Lake Galilee, okay? Let's go to the other side of the lake. Just remember that when I'm changing it to Lake Galilee, they forgot one. and they were in a small boat rowing. He fell asleep. Okay, I have pretended to be asleep. I've been on the water. There's no way that when the boat is bouncing around that you can be asleep. So you pretended to be asleep. Then a strong wind was upon the lake. Okay, is it the lake again? Yes, it is the lake again. So here we have it again as a lake. And they began to be endangered. The only way you can become in danger is if the waves have turned into whitecaps and the boat is being hard to control, because when your boat it has to be pointed into the waves, because if it gets caught in the waves, then it's going to do this. Okay. So it means that the waves were starting to get very large. And like I said, in the other one, that the boat has to have this front cap on it, that when the water comes with waves, that it hits here and doesn't just fill up the boat, that it sheds the water on both sides. So it has this covering, then it has like a piece of wood brought up, and then it's made in a V point to push the water out to the sides. So, and then we were going to perish. So they were worried about the boat capsizing when it gets out of the side. So he commanded the wind and waves to become calmer. Why was your life in fear? Yes. This is similar to, I had this should be here. Where was your life in fear? Why was your life in fear? In other words, like I was saying, that's why I was corrected the last one, the way I am here with pretending to be asleep, is that Jesus was trying to tell him that when you're with me, you're always safe. Okay. And they didn't believe that yet. So it's, why was your life in fear? That it's this question mark that why is your faith in fear? They were in fear. Anyways, okay, that isn't the correct question. It's, why is your life in fear? Or drowning, okay? But they were saying to one another, and they kind of just, he commands even the winds and the water obey him. Who is this then? They already knew he was, our Creator sent his Holy One. They knew he was the King. This is why he made them the disciples. They were waiting for him. They were obedient, they were very much obeying our Creator. But here, when it says they were in a small boat rowing, I left this as a note for myself as to, it can't be a small boat when they're rowing, okay? I better put this here. Before I get back to, you've got 13 men in a boat, okay? So it can't be a small boat. I mean, a small boat is for one or two people, okay? So they were in a, I'm going to have to just say they were in a boat rowing. In fact, I'm even thinking that there was two boats, just because I'm realizing the size of the boats. And like I said, if these are fishing boats, they have to have this to put out large nets for fish. So a boat is very large that could possibly hold that many. It has to have a railing that the net goes down and they can pull a rope around it, and they can put this net around. And don't worry, they would have, if they would have, they didn't get any fish, well, somebody would have jumped in the water and put the net back around. But the object is then to bring the catch, put it into the boat. You can see that this is a 2-3 man sized boat, and leaving the fish on the floor of the boat. And like I said, it has to have this front cap on it. It has to have arms with another piece along the other side to hold it up, so it can be a one that lets out a net. I'm still haven't really drawn it out, and I don't think there's even going to be pictures on the web about that. But when you stop and think about these things, it has to be that way. Boy, I got carried away. I did not look at the time. We're done. Got to stop there. I won't be able to download this one.